Being the worst boss ever does not pay off. In 2003, the company I worked for shut down, so I went job hunting. I was a machinist with a solid reputation, so it only took me a day to find new work at a place I'll call Spiral, a shop specializing in precision tools. The business was owner-operated, and the owner, let's call him Dick, was there every day. At first, things were fine. The floor supervisor was a decent guy, and I just did my job. But after about a year, Dick and the supervisor had a falling out, and the supervisor quit. For reasons beyond me, Dick decided I would be in charge. Now, a bit about Dick. He was in his 60s, filthy rich, and the biggest jerk I've ever met. He'd started Spiral in his garage decades ago, and now owned the entire industrial park it sat in. Despite his wealth, he treated everyone like trash, except for me and one other machinist. Even then, if we dared talk to each other, he'd scream at us from across the floor. Being in charge was more of a trap than a promotion. He paid me just enough that I couldn't afford to quit, but not enough to actually live well. During our conversations, he loved to brag. That's when I learned a few things. He was cooking the books, charging his own company, absurd rent through a separate entity he owned, so it looked like Spiral barely broke even. He also boasted about illegally burying industrial waste on his property to save disposal fees. For the next decade, he made my life miserable. Constant yelling, constant turnover. I went through so many workers that temp agencies eventually refused to send me anyone. Still, I quietly made moves, rewriting my duties until I could officially call myself plant manager. It wasn't much, but it looked great on a resume. After months of searching, I landed a better job. Higher pay, real benefits, everything Spiral didn't have. I knew anyone who gave notice there was immediately fired. So I told my new employer I'd give 2 weeks, then didn't. On my last day, I sat at my desk, typed out 2 emails, and smiled. One went to my contacts at OSHA and the state EPA, 2 men I'd gotten to know well over the years. I laid out everything Dick had bragged about. The illegal waste, the doctored books, the working conditions, the violations. The other email went to the state attorney's office. Then I left my keys on my desk with a note that simply read, "I quit." A few weeks later, my contact at OSHA reached out. Spiral had been slapped with $150,000 in fines for willful safety violations.